All right, welcome in. It's Friday. It's time for Total Bases. I'm here with Tokyo Brandon, Bryan Leonard, and we have day baseball on Friday. It's always nice. It's always thanks to the Cubs, who still insist on playing a Friday afternoon day game, which is great because I could do a whole show on why I think Friday should be day baseball. Happy hour type game, national TV, missed opportunity for Major League Baseball, in my opinion. But the Cubs come through again, Bryan Leonard. I'm going to go to you, our resident weatherman. We might have some wind in play at Wrigley Field today, so kick us off. Pirates Cubs out in Wrigley this afternoon.
Yeah, we really do. The wind's blowing in. The expected runs is down 39%, which is like 3.5 less than what we normally find. Your home runs down 46%. They're only expecting one home run in this game. And that'll be a basis of a lot of what I talk about on this game. We've got Lazinski going up against Imanaga. And I like Imanaga. He's the lefty. You're laying about 145 or whatever with the Cubs. Your total's now down to 6. It opened at 7.5 minus 20 or so. Now down to 6.5. Basically even money if you're playing the under. And I'd prefer the under here. Lazinski did not look as well as his last game as he did in his first, but I like him. The problem with him has been that he doesn't go long into the game, and we may not see that more than 4 innings here. But if you can get 4 good innings out of him here with the wind blowing in, I like that. Imanaga is a guy I'm looking to back. A lot of money is on this game to go to the under, but that's the side that I would take. I really think this is going to be a hard game to score. You're going to have to string some hits together, and one of the cheat sheets or whatever that I use is only expecting to get basically out of the starters. 8 hits out of the starters, and I would expect it to go about 5 innings. So, the under would be the way I look at this one. If you're looking at WRC Plus on the season, both teams are a little middling at the moment, but the Cubs are 16th, and the Pirates are 9th. The Pirates are actually hitting a little bit better than a lot of people expected, but with this game, I'm looking towards the under, and I wish it was 7. You hate to take an under 6.5 because that's a little tight, but that's the only way I would look at this game.
Yeah, I listen. I think the Pirates' offense is going to be fine. I know I sort of talked about them earlier in the week, Tokyo Brandon. I said, they didn't have great at bats in that first game against the Padres. I was wondering if maybe they would cool off a little bit. I guess they did in that series, but I still think you look at Connor Griffin comes up, hasn't even really done a whole lot yet. But, just to get him he wasn't on the roster the first 2 weeks of the season or week and a half of the season. So I look at him as just like as big of an upgrade as anyone could possibly make to their roster at this point in the season. And they haven't even sort of gotten his, full potential yet. I think he started 1 for 9. He really hadn't done a whole lot. That's going to change without question, in my opinion. So I like the Pirates. I actually prefer the way they're hitting the ball a little bit to the Cubs right now. Lazinski is a guy I backed over the weekend. I got the win. It wasn't necessarily because of him though, but he was serviceable. He didn't pitch poorly. Pitched into the 5th inning, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. Only gave up 2 runs. I guess what I'm trying to say is I kind of like the Pirates again here, and I think there is a little value on the Pirates as an underdog. But I haven't gotten to the window with it yet. So talk me into it, talk me off of it, or give me a bet for this game that you're looking at.
Me? Sure. I ran my pitcher numbers and I put them on my Twitter. The OPS rankings, they're already up. And I actually put the strikeout projections for pitchers on my Twitter as well. So go check that out. Number 1 today is Imanaga. So my first reflex was to say, let's go for the Pirates under. But the book had the same idea. Unfortunately, I was hoping for a first 5 4.5 to go under, or even a Pirates team total 2.5 under. But looking at it, Pirates are 1.5, and the game first 5 is 3.5. So I would be inclined to take an under 3.5 in the first 5 because both of these pitchers have great numbers against the guys they're pitching against. However, the Pirates rank 10 right now in current form and hitting in MLB, so I don't want to take a 3.5. It's a little slim. Actually, the Pirates lead the Cubs in every category I measure as far as current form is concerned. So I would be inclined to take the Pirates if not for Imanaga's wonderful career numbers in 42 at-bats against these batters. Huge sample size, and I'm not going against Imanaga with those numbers. If anything, I'd take the game under. That'd pretty much be the only way I would go. Maybe the outs prop for Imanaga, it's 17.5 outs, which means will he or will he not finish the 6th inning? I think he's certainly... Well, I can't say certainly, but I think he's very likely to finish the 6th inning, so that might be a way to go too, but I haven't bet it.
I mean, if we're just going off of like trying to find a good price here, like I think that this is a pretty reasonable spot to take the Pirates on the money line. I made it closer to plus 110. So again, I think it's I'm trying to pull up my odds screen here. I think it was in the plus 130 to plus 140 range. I might have come down a little bit. Of course. Yeah, it's about plus 130. Again, I think you could do worse than that on this slate. But I have not bet it yet. Bryan Leonard, I'm going to come to you for this one. Antone9 says, I can't stay away from the Reds. I'm liking that team total today. Yeah, the Reds, they got it done yesterday. Took 3 of 4 from the Marlins. That was I'm sorry. They did not get it done yesterday. The Marlins got it done in a big fashion. So that series was a split. I had that score backward in my head. 8-1 Marlins yesterday to split that series. So the Reds take the first 2 games of the series. The Marlins bounce back with the second 2 games of the series. Mark Lambert says, I had Reds yesterday. Do I go back to the well? Bryan Leonard, what do we do with the Reds today?
Well, at first glance, you're going to look at these 2 starting pitchers, Kachanowicz and Burns, and you're going to want a part of Cincinnati. But I think the line is kind of scary. I'm seeing anywhere from 177 to 190 on the Reds. Yeah, I'd rather have the Reds than the Angels in this one. But when you take a look at here we go. When you take a look at the 2 guys going, I like that. But if you're looking at WRC plus on the season, the Reds are dead last. They're at 74. The Giants are right above them, and the White Sox and the Padres right above them. So the offense has not clicked in yet for Cincinnati. This is traditionally, obviously, a very good hitter's park. As I mentioned in the past, the pitching staff and management has figured out a way to get fly ball pitchers to not give up home runs. I'd be interested if somebody does a study on that and figures it out what they're doing. But I like the Burns. I like Burns here, but I don't know if I want to lay that number. Cincinnati's not hitting well enough, in that regard. I think they'll get to Kachanowicz. He's probably one of the weakest, if not the weakest starter that they've gone against so far. So all things being considered, normally I would take Cincinnati, but I'm not a big guy who plays big favorite. So want something to do with Cincinnati, maybe a Burns strikeout prop, something to that effect. But I don't want the Angels in this one.
Burns strikeout prop's been a good proposition so far, Brian. 16 strikeouts in 11 innings. He's looked electric pretty much. I mean, if you followed this guy through the minors and right when he got called up before the injury last year, electric stuff. That doesn't surprise me at all that he's just mowing hitters down to this point in the season. Brian, I'm kind of with you. I don't really want the Reds here because I think you're kind of like paying peak price for them right now based on like what they've done offensively. So I don't really want to lay $1.85. But at the same time, I'm not really, Kachanowicz is not the guy I want to back. So I guess the question that I'm going to send over to Tokyo Brandon here is, do we trust Kachanowicz enough for this one to stay under 9. I think under 9 might be the way that I would look in this one. Or do we go team totals, or like Brian said, maybe look for a strikeout prop?
So I guess I'm going to be the lone guy here that says back the Angels here, because the Reds are on my don't touch. They're on my silent flaccidity list today. They're coming back home after getting trounced with no rest. So I expect their bats to be extremely flat, even going against Kachanowicz. If anything, but like you said, Burns has electric stuff. He's a strikeout guy. And I don't expect the Angels to hit much off of him. And, you can say the team's tired or they're in a dead spot or whatever, but the starting pitchers are immune from that because they didn't play yesterday. They might not have even traveled with the team in some cases. So the Burns should be okay. But I expect the bats to be a little flat or flaccid, shall I say. And that would point me to an under, but you'd have to have some testicular fortitude to take the Angels in an under in any situation, especially with Kachanowicz on the mound. But I think if he's going to have a decent game, I would go either Reds first 5 under 2.5 or the first 5 under 4.5, one or the other. I put out a free play on the 4.5 under, but I haven't put a percent on it.
Listen, I don't think you're looking at it the wrong way at all. I definitely think Angels at the price is the way I would probably want to get involved in the side. Plus 1.5 with the Angels was I guess somewhat appealing, but the price is, I kind of would have wanted that to be like more like minus 110 on the plus 1.5 at minus 130. And I'm finding this sort of across the board on the card today. I haven't been able to find much value, playable value in this entire board. And that would be an example of it. Just, Angels plus 1.5 on the road, getting the extra at bat against the Reds team that really probably is due for some offensive, regression, or not, maybe not some offensive regression, but results regression because they keep winning these close games. Makes sense. But yeah, I don't know if that minus 130 price tag is what I would want to do there. So TB, I kind of think that you've landed on the best, maybe the best options for that game. Okay, G Hurt.
I knew you were going to pick that one, Adam.
Well, he says, let's talk Patrick Corbin. That means we're going to talk the Blue Jays. I told you guys earlier in the week that he was added to the roster. We'd likely see him make a start sooner than later. And I guess it's sooner. Here we are. They're home. And Patrick Corbin will make his first start of the season. I believe he was down in Dunedin, Florida. Brian, I don't know if I'm Dunedin, playing, some low, doing some extended spring training stuff. Bryan Leonard, he was pretty good out of the gate for the Rangers last year. It was not until the second half of the season when he sort of regressed a little bit. I don't hate this idea for the Blue Jays of getting a veteran guy in because theoretically, the Blue Jays should still hit and give you a chance to win. So is he replacing Cody Ponce? Probably not. Can he be a serviceable stopgap? Maybe. I think probably lean more toward yes. The Twins just rattled off 4 wins over the Tigers. I certainly didn't expect that. Do the Twins come back to earth north of the border starting tonight?
I like your thought process on Corbin, but I'm leaning the other way. I like Minnesota here. It's a confident bunch, as you mentioned. That was my one loser yesterday. I had the Tigers at 4-1 on the day. But Woods Richardson is a guy I like better than a lot of people, and I think he's the better pitcher in this matchup. I don't want any part of Toronto's bats. They're I think they got like a 94 WRC plus on the season. And I'm not overly impressed with the Toronto bullpen. Obviously, they didn't play yesterday, but Hoffman pitched 2 of the last 3 games, so he pitched the 2 games before that. I prefer the Minnesota side. It's a game I have my eye on right now. I don't know if I'll use the side or if I'll use a team total or something to that effect. But that's one of the ones right now. It's, as I always say, it's 6 a.m. here in Vegas. I've got plenty of time to put my plays up. I'm looking for a way to play the Twins here. I just think Toronto is a little bit shell-shocked about the way they've started the season with the injuries that they have had. And they got their big chance to play the Dodgers to avenge the World Series, and they were not even competitive in that. So I don't want to lay Toronto as a favorite. So it'll be Minnesota or nothing for me.
The Blue Jays did get one back. We talked about them, being in a potential good spot to do that on Wednesday's show. Blue Jays, I pointed out the +1.5 was only -110. Didn't need the run and a half. They won that game 4-3. So possibly something to jumpstart the Blue Jays. Tokyo Brandon, who had lost 5 straight games, got swept by the White Sox. As Brian said, got embarrassed by the Dodgers in that first game of that series, a 14-2 loss, and then lost 4-1 the next day. So I guess for me, I didn't mind the Blue Jays here in this spot, but the price tag again, I feel like is a little bit high for Patrick Corbin and having not seen him yet this year in the big league. So what are your thoughts? Blue Jays, Twins, do you agree with Brian, or are you on the home team here?
Everyone watching, did you know that WagerTalk's doing a special? It's called Double Play. You can take 2 of these 3 best baseball cappers on earth. Brian is the all-time baseball winner at WagerTalk. Adam is red hot in baseball. I'm checking you every day, and you're winning every day. And I'm the number 1 profit capper 3 of the last 5 years among all the cappers at WagerTalk. So either 2 you pick, you can't go wrong. Double Play, it's 3 days of any 2 of us for a huge discount. So grab that. On to this game. Mine's going to be short. That's why I did the promo there. I have Corbin gets a bad rap, but he's actually, as we established last year, he can eat some innings and even have some quality starts for you. So he's not going to be flashy. He's not going to have 7 strikeouts or anything, but he can eat some innings, give up 2 runs in 5 innings, and leave it to the bullpen. And you can't really ask much more from an average starting pitcher. So not bad. Comparing these 2 teams, though, I got the Blue Jays bullpen much better than Minnesota's in current form, but Minnesota's bats are hotter than the Blue Jays, and I don't want to touch the Blue Jays until their bats start heating up a little bit. I want to see it for a couple games before I start putting money on the Blue Jays. I did a little more research, and I think Josh Bell has amazing stats against Corbin, and Byron Buxton also has really good stats against Corbin. So if I'm going to bet this, I'd probably bet one of those guys. Hits, runs, RBIs over 1.5 would probably be the way I would go, but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull up G Hurt in the chat because he brought the game up originally. He says -150 for Corbin is absolutely ridiculous. I don't really disagree with you there. I don't think that's what it is at this point. I think it's come down a little bit, but yeah, I mean, all things considered, when you consider the injuries the Blue Jays have had so far this year, and the fact that prior to the finale against the Dodgers, they had lost 5 straight, and the fact that you haven't seen Corbin in a big league game yet this year, what are we doing with that price tag right there? So, but when I look at it like that, Brian, I don't know if I could talk you off of the Twins. What?
You're muted, Adam.
I did mute myself. Sorry.
Maybe you should quit doing
that the whole time.
No, only the part where you're trying to make your point.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, Brian, what I was saying before I accidentally muted myself, which again is more we're trying. It makes for a better show if we're muted when we're not talking, but sometimes you just forget to unmute yourself, and then it makes for a worse show. So we'll have to figure out that. But Brian, what I was trying to say is, I'm kind of with G Hurt. What are we doing making the Blue Jays a $1.40, $1.45 favorite with the last week that they had and the uncertainty that comes with Corbin on the mound?
Yeah, at this point, you've got to have a really good reason to play the Blue Jays. They're a better team than what they've shown at the end of the year. People will probably forget about the start that they have had. But right now, it's a confidence issue, I believe. This is a team, from talking to Carmine, he lives in Toronto. Prez lives in Toronto. The whole city is crazy about this team right now, and they're expecting all this stuff. And then they get off to the start of the season. Big disappointment here. I don't want a team that has been disappointing everyone and get them at that favorite price. I'd rather go against them until they turn it around.
All right, Brian, I'm staying with you, and then we'll go to TB on this one only because it is Mike's birthday. So happy birthday to Mike S. And he says, can we talk my Guardians, which are also Bryan Leonard's Guardians, against the Braves? So I'll let you kick this one off. I know TB is going to have opinions here based on who's pitching. So start us off with Guardians Braves, and then we'll kick it over to Tokyo Brandon.
Here's a quick stat for you. If looking at season to date, WRC plus, Cleveland has a better WRC plus than the Yankees do. Who would have ever thought that? This Cleveland team just continues to flummox me. They've flummoxed me for years. I'm happily flummoxed. First time that's ever been said 3 times in one line, but they continue to find ways to win. They've always done that, and I continue to go. I went against them in season wins this year. They've got something that you can't figure out, and they got Ciccone on the mound here against Elder. Elder's about a 132 favorite, total of 8.5. Out of the starters for Cleveland, I would maybe rate Ciccone last. Elder's a guy for Atlanta who I really don't like, but they've had so many injuries that he's got to get out there and pitch. I hate to say it, but if I had to play it, I'd play Cleveland here. They're playing some confident ball right now. This is more of a. I've been to the Atlanta ballpark. Beautiful area. They got the powerhouse around there. They set it up correctly. If you're ever in Atlanta, go down there. It's a fun environment. You got to see a ball game there. It's a beautiful stadium also. But I would, at 8.5, I'd lean towards the over a little bit here. I'm not a big fan of either one of the starters, and the Cleveland closer struggled a little bit lately. He's still great, but he hasn't been himself as of yet. Maybe get some a little bit on the over here. You only need 9 to get the victory, and we'll see what happens. But I'm probably not involved, but it'll be interesting to see how Cleveland does in this ballpark.
Go ahead, TB.
Okay. I have a 3-play package up, 3 bets today in Major League Baseball, and I packaged them together, but I'm going to give you guys one of them here because it's in this game. And so generally, Ciccone is the thorn in my side. Every time I back him, he takes a dump. And every time I go against him, he throws 7 shutout innings with 9 strikeouts. So, but I'm gonna, you can't just avoid stuff for the rest of your life. So today I'm actually going to go against him here because the Braves are just a better team in my opinion. They're batting. I got them ranked 6. I got Cleveland ranked 18 in current form. Atlanta's bullpen performing better in current form, and I took a look at how these guys perform against the batters they're facing today. Pretty equal, actually. They're both right around the Mendoza 750 line. So I generally don't back Elder. I'm the same as Brian. I don't like him very much, and generally I wouldn't back him. But today I'm going to, and I think Atlanta. I think it's a nice price for Atlanta at home. Anything under 140, I think, is kind of a bargain because Atlanta, to me, is a playoff team, and Cleveland might make a wild card maybe team. So I think I'm comfortable backing Atlanta here.
Yeah, I mean, if the Braves are healthy, they're definitely a playoff team, in my opinion. That was my only real concern with Atlanta coming into the season was they kind of got bit by the injury bug right before the season started. But they've, credit to the Braves. They've been able to overcome it. They have pitching depth in that organization. Again, I don't think Bryce Elder is a great big league starter by any means, but when he's the guy that's sort of like the emergency guy when Spencer Strider goes down and these other sort of top sort of arms that have gone down for the Braves, when he's the next option, it's It's not the worst thing in the world. TB, you always talk about how you got a guy that always tends to get you. Elder is the one for me. He always, if I go against him, it's 6 scoreless. Guy looks like Sandy Koufax on the mound. Bryan, I'm going to throw this back to you because I very much agree. I'm at 9.1 on the total. So my number makes this 9.1 runs in this game. So at 8.5, even with the minus 115 juice, I think that's the way I would go. And the reason is I don't think Elder and Ciccone can both do it in this game. Maybe one of them, not both. So I like the over. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you like the Braves, you don't want to lay that number. I've got 2 pitchers that are expected to go 6 innings today. Luzardo for the Phillies. They're a big favorite. And Elder for the Braves. How about Elder to get the victory? If he does go 6 innings, they're going to go against the Cleveland bullpen, who I think is one of the best in Major League Baseball. And they've even got some guys down in the minors that will be coming up as well. So I don't think the Braves are going to score late in this game. So if the Braves have an early lead, I think that'll be the way they get there. So if you like the Braves, maybe play Elder and get some plus money on him getting the victory.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it too. Again, I can't really argue with either of what you guys are saying there. And I think for me, just based on my numbers, I kind of see that getting to 9 runs for sure. Let's see. Colin Gregory, WagerTalk will do anything you want if you ask them. All you got to do is email customer support. We have the best customer support in the business. If you say, hey, I want a package with Tokyo Brandon's KBO and Triggs AAA, like they'll do it for you. All you got to do is ask nicely. They are as good as it gets from a customer support standpoint. So email in, let them know what you want, and I am certain that they'll make it happen for you. And again, yeah, like, you know, we anytime you want to customize something like that, our support is pretty good about, you know, again, making that happen. So say hi to the girls up in the Detroit office, ask nicely, and I guarantee you they'll help you out.
Yep. Don't abuse them.
Before we move on, I mean, yeah, like Ed says, Cleveland the most profitable team in baseball so far. Small sample sizes.
I think the Rockies are.
They're up there too. Small sample sizes can show you anything, though. Like Bryan said, they're out hitting the Yankees at this point. Let's see if that's going to still be the case a month from now.
Exactly.
Let's go back here. Tokyo Brandon, I'm going to go over to you. Have we talked about the game that you want to give out as your best bet for the show? If not, let us know what game we're going to look at here.
Okay. My best bet for the show is going to be the Nationals and the Brewers. We got Chad Patrick going against Jake Irvin. And Jake Irvin, on my Twitter, I put out the OPS list. I put the best guys and the worst guys, and Jake Irvin is the worst guy. And I got Milwaukee right now batting pretty good in the top third. Hey, Washington's batting really well right now, although they're a terrible team. The funny thing is, Washington's the only team in MLB that I have ranked worse than 25 in every category except hitting. So it's funny because they can't pitch, they can't field, their bullpen is horrible, and their starting pitcher is horrible, but they hit well. So that usually means over in my book. But man, Milwaukee's a team that's very well built. They're kind of doing well at everything, but not special at anything kind of team. But at minus 200, whatnot, I think they're a good leg for the parlay. And I especially like the fact that in 74 at bats against, Jake Irvin has a 1,057 OPS against these batters. So that's just obscene in that large sample size. To be over 1,000 is pretty obscene. I think Milwaukee on the money line is what I'll use for my parlay. But if you want to place a normal bet, I think any kind of Milwaukee team total would be good for this one, because I think they're just going to crush the 28th ranked bullpen and one of the worst starting pitchers in MLB.
Yeah, Brian, this is another one where felt like the number was pretty much right on.
Yeah.
Though I don't really disagree with TV's assessment of that game. So talk to me Nationals Brewers if you're seeing anything in this one.
Yeah, it's tough to go against Brewers anytime right now. Washington Nationals, worst bullpen in Major League Baseball, and I'm not really a big Jake Irvin fan. If I play it, I lay it. Luckily, there's other games on here where I don't have to lay the $2 or whatever here on Milwaukee, maybe to find some other way to play that game. But for as much as we say about Washington, they still got a really good hitting team. They've got some young guys really starting to come into their own. When you finish as bad as Washington has done over the years, you're going to get some good draft choices. And I'm very happy for the Nationals fans that they are getting some of those guys in the majors, and they're starting to show. But probably not going to be involved in that one. I'm going to take a look for my best bet. I've got a few here. I actually like the card a little bit today. Let's go with Miami against Detroit. We've got Chris Paddock, who you won't find me backing Chris Paddock very often, but he's going against Kyler Montero. They may be even. I don't think there's either one of these guys that is somebody I want to be backing. In Miami, playing confident baseball, coming off a big victory. Detroit, like I said, I had them yesterday as my only loser. They just got swept at home by the Twins, who were clearly, along with Chicago, expected to be the worst teams in that division. Something is wrong right now in Detroit. Maybe the hitters just had career years last year. I don't know, but right now Detroit's offense has been terrible. Miami comes in confident, and I prefer the Miami pitching staff overall to Detroit, other than obviously the number one pitcher in baseball for the Tigers. But I like this Miami offense. We've talked about it in the past. Detroit is just not playing well right now, and yesterday was a day, and I talk about this in hockey a lot, where you've got a certain spot. Yesterday was the day. That was a Tiger spot. And I think Trigger even talked about that on the show yesterday. And then they came out and lost again. I don't want any part. It's sort of like Toronto. I don't want any part of Toronto right now. I really don't want any part of Detroit. And I could get upwards of 135 from 125 to 135 here back in Miami. So give me Miami at plus 130.
Yeah. Listen, I watched most of that Detroit series. The other night on Wednesday, it was the sort of like the standalone national TV game here in the US. And that is a team that is just not, it's kind of reminiscent of them in the second half last year. If you remember last year, the Tigers had a historic first couple months of the season, and then just straight up could not get out of their own way. Bad baseball. And I feel like we saw Brian's nodding go. It reminded me of the August into September Tigers of last year, where it was just every day, just bad baseball in all phases of the game.
Yeah, you look at Detroit. I don't have the records in front of me, but you look at them the last 120 games. There's no way they should be a 145 favorite against pretty much anybody. Not only a team with the young talent that Miami has. So yeah, that's the way I'm going.
Plus 130 on the Marlins. Tokyo Brandon, what was your exact leg again? So I can just.
It was the Milwaukee Brewers. Yeah, Milwaukee on the money line minus 206 is what I'm seeing, but it's probably between minus 200 and 210 somewhere.
I was going to say, I think we can do a little bit better than that. I think I saw, unless it's moved, like Brian, what are you seeing for a Brewers money line? I thought I saw like 190 or 195. I
saw 206.
We're looking anywhere from 190 to 205 right now. So $2.
Yeah, we'll say 200.
We'll call it minus 200. All right. I am going to think about mine. We still have 10 minutes of the show left. Garth has donated.
I want to address this.
Shout out to Garth. Well, I'm going to you, Tokyo Brandon. We're going to answer Garth's question. He says, I really like A's team total. Tonight, the over, I believe the game over is 7.5. I just want to make sure I'm not misspeaking on that. Of course, 8.5 for the game total. This is A's. I had the A's yesterday in the Bronx plus 1.5. Didn't need the plus 1.5. That was my only client play yesterday. And the A's nearly no hit the Yankees in that game. So you want to talk about an over? I can tell you they're probably not gonna give up 0 like they did yesterday. This is an A's team that's not gonna throw many zeros up over the course of this year. So Tokyo Brandon, he likes the A's over. How are you seeing A's Mets? Do you like runs in this one as well?
Well, yesterday on my pitcher list that I put on my Twitter, Springs was number 2 on the list. So I kind of knew Yankees weren't going to explode for 8 runs. I didn't know he would no hit them through however many innings he did. I didn't expect them to put goose eggs up, but I did know he was going to have a decent game, especially with the weather. But regarding this one, I give you my advice, and it's probably not exactly what you want to hear because it's not addressing your question directly, but I don't have enough information, head-to-head information between the Mets and the A's and the pitchers that are going today. But I will give you advice. Take Milwaukee's hits over because they're going to get 9 innings of at-bats. They're going against the 29th ranked starting pitcher who has a 1,000 OPS against them. And after he comes out, they get the 28th out of 30 ranked bullpen for 9 full innings. That is a smorgasbord of hits, runs, RBIs, stolen bases, whatever you like. I think Milwaukee's just going to crack Washington today.
All right, Brian. Garth asked about the A's, so we got to give him something about the A's. We know you like the Brewers. Let's talk A's Mets. Do you think there's runs in this game for Garth?
Okay, first of all, let's correct Garth's. This is not over. His team total is over 7.5 hits, not over runs.
Okay.
So
okay. Over 7.5 hits. I misread that. Yeah.
Probably driving him crazy. Also, thank you for the donation, Garth. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. I knew Tokyo Brandon would appreciate that. Okay. Again, going for the Athletics is probably their best pitching prospect they've got going right now. That's the game we're talking about, right? The A's and the Mets.
A's Mets. Yep.
Okay. I like him. The total opened up 8.5 to the over. I'm now seeing it as low as 7.5 at one market, but basically 8. This was one of the games that I had circled at 8.5. I was going to play the under. I still might get there with the under. Holmes is a little bit. If you don't see him very often, I think he's a guy that you have problems with. He's in the A's, obviously playing in the other league. Don't see him very often. So I kind of like the under here. The Mets offense is not the same without Soto. They've had some other guys that just gotten off to terrible starts. And the A's are a good hitting team, but I'd much rather have their batters playing in Sacramento than playing in Shea Stadium, where it's usually a pitcher's ballpark. This is one of the ballparks I usually choose to play unders on because of the pitching staffs. The Mets have a great pitching staff, and so I would play the under if I play this one.
Can I correct myself real quick? Let me just jump in because on the replay, I'm going to get so much flack for the Brewers are at home. That was my mistake. So yeah, they're probably only going to 8 innings of at-bats. And Derek said, Tokyo, the Brewers just lost the last 2. They need one of your motivational rants instead of supporting. Very true. Sorry, had to jump in.
Yeah, listen, the A's winning back-to-back close games. I mean, that to me is like the talking point there. I don't think this team is going to win many 3-2 games, many 1-0 games this year. And they just went to the Bronx and won them back-to-back against what should be one of the best teams in baseball. So I could see like a little bit of a letdown here for the A's just off of that. But then again, you guys were right. The Mets, I maybe underestimated how, just not having Soto in the lineup, like what that would do to them, because they have not impressed me. I thought that they were going to have better fate in that series with the Diamondbacks. They really were fortunate just to get the one. That was the game that we talked about on Tuesday, where they kind of had to steal it in extras. and then they got slapped around the last 2 nights. So, yeah, I'm kind of not interested in the Mets at this price. But I don't think offense is out of the question here, because even though the Mets haven't like really hit, the A's are going to probably give up runs like more often than not. And you talk about back-to-back close wins, having to go to the bullpen a couple of times. It just feels like to me that like how many games can the A's have before the dam breaks a little bit and they have one of their games where they're giving up, what I think there was a 12-10 game in the series with the Astros over the weekend. So I don't think I could play an under here for that reason. I just feel like the A's are not very deep in the pitching department and due to give some up. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, maybe the first 5 is probably the better way to go. Mark Leiter Jr. didn't pitch the last 2 days, but most of the other guys that are key in the bullpen have pitched, and they're not very good anyway. So, yeah, maybe the first 5 is probably better if you're going to play the under in that one.
All right, we can squeeze one more in here. I'm going to go to Tokyo Brandon. He cashed with the Orioles earlier this week, and we've got folks in the chat saying, can you talk me off of the Giants? So the Giants are heading east. They're going to head to Camden Yards. Giants, Orioles, probably one of the only really like coin flip priced type games on the slate today. A lot of big favorite versus underdogs, but not here. Giants, Orioles, how are you seeing this one?
So according to my rankings here, I got the Giants leading in a lot of categories here, and they're not generally a team I like to back. Rout had a great start his last one out, but so did Baz actually. And both these pitchers having a pretty decent start to the season. I got Rout rated a little higher in current form. Orioles bullpen slightly higher in current form, but the bats are pretty equal. One is 17, one is 18. We got bats that are not really lighting it up. We got 2 starting pitchers who are performing well. So if anything, I would go under or Giants, but I'm not going to bet this.
Brian, anything on the Giants or the Orioles for you?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Landon Roop. I was hoping to be able to play him here, but I don't think we're getting the value, unfortunately. That was one of the pitchers that I had circled going into the night, and as you mentioned, it's close to a pick'em game. And the Giants had yesterday off, but their bullpen has had some pretty good work on Wednesday. So,
Sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not getting the number I want. I'll keep an eye on it. If I can get, like right now, the best number out there for San Francisco is where's my game? We were getting like 110, and I was hoping to get 120. So you've made the comments in the past about it's so the numbers are so important. If you're not getting the number, either find another way to do it or pass the game and go to a different one. And unfortunately, unless I'm getting 120, I won't be on San Francisco.
It's exactly how I saw this one. My number came out sort of right in that range. I truly feel that this was as much of a sort of a coin flip as I think that you're going to have on the card. I could have really made what I felt like was a good case for both sides. And when I can do that, I'm usually out of it pretty quickly. John in the chat says I could flip a coin and pick more winners than Trig. I mean, if you can hit 10 straight coin flips, go for it. I'm 9-1 in my last 10 baseball plays. So yeah, I mean, you must be pretty good at flipping a coin. That's all.
Someone's not watching the standings because I've been watching. I just said Adam's red hot.
9-1 of my last 10 on the bases. So, do what you will with that. For the show, we've already talked about my parlay league. I'm going to go with that over Guardians Braves. I can't see both of those pitchers holding the other team down today. And that 8.5 number is very fair. I made it 9.1 on a day where I can't find a ton of value. And I haven't bet any Major League Baseball yet. That's a pretty good value total being at 8.5 and where it is priced. So I will go Guardians, Braves. That is going to be, Brian, are we still looking at what? Like minus 115 on that over 8.5?
Anywhere from minus 110 to minus 115.
All right, we'll call it minus 115 for the parlay. And we've reached the end of the show. So before I recap the parlay, remember, we are on Saturday now. It's just 10 a.m. instead of 11 a.m. So if you're looking for this show tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, and we'll be followed immediately by Last Call, which is pretty much everything non-baseball. We're going to do the baseball as total bases. Last Call will follow us at 11 a.m. The parlay for today, Tokyo Brandon is on the Brewers on the money line. Bryan Leonard is giving us some nice odds with the Marlins plus 130. And I'm going to go with Guardians Braves over 8.5. That is your show for today. Remember, 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. We'll see you guys then.